Hello, everyone. This is Solutions number 16. I'm Mona Arsenault, and I want to welcome you to the October 2025 Zoom. When was the last time you fell? What were you doing? Did you go for help? How could you have prevented it? Stop before you walk. Think first, then wait for balance. My chat projects involve assisting people with polio to help them understand what post polio is and how to adapt to the changes that are happening to all of us. I meet weekly or monthly in many areas of the world. I try to have ideas and ask people to talk about themselves. Slide one, Ken. How hard is it to change our habits? That's it. How hard is it to change our habits? When I was a child, I was the youngest of five. My mother had three boys, and then I came along as a twin with my brother. Naturally, she wanted her little girl to have long, beautiful hair. I remember endless tangles, painful brushing, and arguments that followed. More than once, I threatened to cut it all off, but my mother would insist. It's so beautiful, so the hair stayed. As a teenager, I started to enjoy the attention. Everyone admired my long hair. I wore it proudly, and I kept it well into my 30s. Then post polio syndrome came along. My arms grew too weak to manage it. I even asked my husband if he would brush it so I could keep it. He loved my hair, but he laughed and said he could never manage such a task. So at last, I cut it off. Slide two, Ken. There it is, short. That should have been the end of the story, but habits have a way of lingering. For 33 years, I had long hair, and every time I sat down, I automatically reached back to sweep my hair from under me. After I cut my hair, my hand still went there. Day after day, month after month, I stopped for more than 2 years. Finally, I stopped reaching for my hair that wasn't there. And here's the funny thing, even now, many years later, I still sometimes catch myself moving to brush that imaginary hair off my shoulders. Habits are stubborn. They become part of us in ways we don't even notice until we try to change them. So, let me ask you, what habits do you have that you do without even thinking? But here's the truth, habits don't vanish because circumstances change. That's the power of a habit. It carves deep grooves into our daily lives, and it reminds me of this change isn't just about making a decision, it's about retraining the small automatic things we do without thinking. So when you try to change a habit, whether it's how you eat, or how you move, or how you speak to yourself, don't be discouraged if it takes time. Habits can outlast even hair. But with patience and persistence, change is possible. What old habits do you still carry, even when life has already cut them away? Some habits are so woven into daily life that they almost feel like second nature. Here are some personal habits that are famously hard to change. Many people don't even notice they're doing them. Touching your face, especially rubbing your eyes or biting your nails. How about slouching when sitting or standing, interrupting people in conversations? How about mindless snacking, even when not hungry? Checking your phone constantly, like social media, email, or notifications. Shut off those ringers. Procrastinating on tasks until the last moment. How about overusing filler words like like, moreover, or overspending or impulse buying? staying up too late even when you know you're tired. And how about that one? Self criticism or negative self talk. What about skipping exercise or always planning to do it tomorrow? Reaching for comfort routines, like always sitting in the same chair or arranging things in a certain way. How about this one? Crossing your legs. Both men and women have a habit of crossing their legs. The other one is twisting your body when you want to reach for something instead of turning and grabbing it. Jumping up to answer the phone or to turn off the stove or to help someone else. These are some physical and mental issues, but they all have some automatic quality. Just like my story about brushing my hair aside long after it was gone. Your body knows what not to do. Try to trust it. And now I'd like to introduce you to Nisha. Come on in, Nisha.
Hi, Mona. Thank you. Hope I am audible. Thank you. I would like to share my story here. My name is Nisha and I am from India, at the southern part of India, the state of Kerala, and I'm working as a counseling psychologist here. I got polio when I was 8 months old in my infancy, and my right side was paralyzed, and I couldn't walk until I reached the age of 3. After a lot of treatment and physiotherapy, I started walking at the age of 3. And I didn't know I was different from others because my family never treated me differently. And as a kid, I was very thin, energetic, and I used to play with other kids as a normal kid. And I was a hyperactive, um, very outdoor loving, an outdoor kid. And most of the time, I used to spend in nature. And I didn't know I was different from others, though I used to experience a severe pain, a muscles pain. I never connected it with my disability, and I didn't know I was disabled. Uh, or else I didn't know what disability meant at that time. And I remember at the age of 10 or 11, while walking to school, I saw my my own reflection in the mirror of a truck, and I realized what was my disability and my gait was different. And it was a psychological trauma for me, and it was a shock which I kept inside but never spoke to anyone. And sometimes I experienced depression but never spoke of it to anyone, and I never connected it with my disability again. And from my teenage onwards, I started falling down a lot, and still, and I consider all those falls as normal falls which can happen to anyone. Again, I didn't connect it with my disability until 3 years ago. Um, right now, I have 5 fractures on the affected side of my body. One after another, I got 5 fractures from falls and accidents. Yet, it was only the last fall which made me really think how I fall down and how it happens. So, with the last fall, my hip was fractured, hip and ankle. and my mobility got really restricted, and I was excluded from the society, disconnected from the society for many months. Then it was the time I acknowledged disability as part of my identity, and I started thinking about and reflecting on my experiences through disability perspective. So it made a lot of sense. I connected my faults, my psychological issues which I experienced, and everything with disability. Then it made a lot of sense. And I would like to share my experience with medical system too here. Um, See, when we fall down, we think it's most of the time. I used to think it's normally it happens to everyone, and my side is a little weak, so the fall can be, it can have some severe effect on me. That's all. And whenever I went to a doctor, an ortho, they never asked me how many times I fell down before or how I did fall down. So they never helped me to connect it with again my disability. They just looked at the X-ray and scanning report, and they said, "Okay, now the bone has joined. Now you can walk." Even after the last fall, the doctor told me to not to use the walking stick. Okay, you don't have to use the walking stick, and you don't have to use any wheelchair. You used to walk before, so you just walk. But he didn't ask me how many times I fell down before and how it happens. So he just looked at the X-ray of the bone. So, um, but from my experiences, I picked the cue and I understood I'm losing balance often. So it's not safe for me to fall down again. And I decided to use a stick while going out. And I experienced chronic pain, exhaustion, and fatigue while walking. So I understood it is taking away all of my energy, because if I walk for a long time, for relieving the pain and to regain my energy, again I need to take many days rest. And it's consuming my time, my energy, and it's affecting my work. So I decided myself to use a wheelchair if I go to a big campus or if I need to walk a long distance. So I found my own strategies to manage my chronic pain, fatigue, and to prevent myself from falling. And often, I remember I faced criticism from other people. They thought I was faking it. When they look at me, they said, "You were able to walk. So, why do you use the wheelchair?" But they don't understand the chronic pain or exhaustion I experienced when I stretched myself to walk further. And they don't understand how many times I fell down. And the only faults which came into the attention of others were the faults which ended up in the fractures. But I don't remember how many times I had fell down before. So it was my decision to prevent myself from falling and to keep myself safe and prevent the extreme exhaustion and the fatigue. So it's helping me a lot. And when I got connected with you, the Rotary group, um, the main thing which happened to me, it helped me to validate a lot of my experiences and my decisions. And I understood the doctors, um, they don't know actually what is the post-polio syndrome. Maybe it's not their priority now. So they overlook many of our issues and difficulties. So it helped me to validate, and it helped me to realize that, okay, my decisions were right. These were the proper decisions I took. And people are not aware of the dynamic nature of the disability or the secondary issues we face. Certain days I may be able to walk little freely, but then suddenly a day I may feel severe pain, or my knee might feel um, weak, and it might be painful. So each day can be different. So it's a right of us, and it's necessary that we should understand ourselves, and without considering how others think or perceive, we need to develop our own strategies, and we should know how to prevent ourselves from falling and keep ourselves safe. Okay, that's I would like to share here. Thank you, Mona. And if there is anything I can share more, you can ask me. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Nisha. That was very informative. And so many people with polio feel a lot of what you're saying. We don't even realize what we're going through. And the opportunity to use a wheelchair instead of overtiring yourself was a very, very good thing for you to do. And I think it will help you throughout the rest of your life. And this is what I'm trying to put across to the many people who are listening to me today. And it's not just people with polio, it's all people. And as we age, we have to recognize the difference in what we're able to do. Thank you so very much, Nisha. I have a questionnaire coming
Yeah,
up, and I
welcome.
think
Thank
you
you.
will enjoy hearing this questionnaire. Thank you. Ken,
Thank you.
hi. Yes, this is the one. It's rather small, but I can read it to you. First, I would like to say that the source of this checklist was developed by the Greater Los Angeles VA Geriatric Research Education Clinical Center and its affiliates. It is a validated fall risk self assessment tool adapted by, here in Montreal, Région de Champlain. This tool this tool was adapted and revised by Direction Régionale de Santé Publique de CIUSSS de Centre Sud de Île de Montréal. I have this simple set of questions, and you can jot down your responses or you can just listen. And I have this evaluation tool put together by the occupational therapist here in Montreal. And as I just said, it was adapted from California's um, old golden ages. So here goes. Check if you're at risk of falling. Question number 1. I have fallen in the past year. Yes or no? Why it matters? A person who has fallen in the past year is at greater risk of falling again. Next question. I use or have been advised to use a cane or a walker to get around safely. And why? A person who uses or has been advised to use a cane or walker is more vulnerable to falls because balance is getting poorer, balance or leg muscles are getting weaker. Next question. Sometimes when I'm walking, I feel unsteady or dizzy or lose my balance. Why? Unsteadiness or needing support while walking are signs of poor balance. Next question. Yes or no? I steady myself by holding on to furniture or other surfaces when I walk around. And why? Steadying yourself on furniture or other surfaces, wall, counters, etc., when moving around is also a sign of poor balance. Next question. I'm afraid of falling. Yes or no? A person who is afraid restricts activities because of being worried of hurting themselves or falling again. This can lead to social isolation and marked physical, emotional, and functional decline. Yes. Next question. I need to push with my hands to stand up from a chair. Yes or no? Needing to use armrests or help to get up from a chair is a sign of weak leg muscles, which is a risk factor for falling. Next question. Yes or no? I have trouble stepping up onto the sidewalk. Why? It's a sign of weak leg muscles, which is a risk factor for falls. Next page. Question. Yes or no? I often have to rush to the toilet. Why it matters? Rushing to the toilet, especially at night, increases your risk of falling. Next question. Yes or no? I've lost some feeling in my feet. Why it matters? Loss of feeling or numbness in your feet can make you trip and fall. Next question. Yes or no? I take medication that sometimes makes me feel lightheaded, dizzy, sleepy, or more tired than usual. Why it matters? Side effects of some medications can cause sleepiness or dizziness, and so cause falls. Know your medications. Next question. Yes or no? I take medications to help me sleep or improve my mood. Why does it matter? Psychotropic medications that help you relax, sleep, or improve your need can increase the risk of falls because they can cause sleepiness or dizziness. Next question. Yes or no? I often feel sad or depressed. Why it matters? Symptoms of depression, such as not feeling well, slowing down, stopping activities, or feeling less alert, are risk factors for falls. Antidepressants can affect balance and put the person at risk of falling. And the last question, yes or no? When I walk, I have a hard time avoiding objects because I don't see them. Why it matters? Vision changes can increase the risks of falling and injury. For people 65 of age or older, annual eye exams are covered by the Quebec Medicare, and perhaps your city or country can also cover eye exams. Get your eyes checked. Now add up your answers. Add up your yes answers. If you scored 4 or more, you may be at risk for falling. Talk it over with your doctor or other healthcare provider. Find out what can help you. We will continue with different ideas here. I can send you this chart. It's an excellent questionnaire for you to evaluate today and then again evaluate yourself in a year from now. Thank you. Ken, it's time for Carla.
There we are. Is the sound okay?
Yes.
Okay. Little history on your list is great, and some of my things overlap that, but I think I'll go over them anyway just to reinforce. I had polio at 9, very mild case. Became a physio or physical therapist. I'm doing this from the US, so in my context, it's a physical therapist, but worldwide, I think it's physiotherapist. I worked with a few polios the first 5 years of my career, and then worked entirely with infants and toddlers and their families, and actually did get a baby who was 5 months old who had had polio as a result of the vaccine, and that's probably only 30 years ago. And I can't find him. I want to find him. Anyway, I am concerned because I don't see people reading their own cues very well in terms of prospective falls. And I kind of made myself a list of how falls can be reduced. And the first one I put down was reading one's own fatigue levels. We have to read those because some days we really should be staying in our chairs or our bed most of the day. Hate to say it, cancel those appointments, cancel those outings, and take care that you don't fall. Check your pain level. How much pain are you having that day? That will definitely impact how you move. Noticing that movement patterns are a bit off one day, especially as you mentioned, Mona, when starting a new medication, that can really disturb our whole neurological system, and our movement patterns can be off until we adapt. Furniture surfing. I find myself furniture surfing some days and not others, but that's an indication that you need more support to prevent falls. Noticing when one is just off a bit during routine activities that day. I mean, if doing the dishes feels off, put it off another day. It's not gonna, the things in the sink aren't gonna die. Noticing pain levels are increased. Oh, I did that one already. Having a lousy night of sleep can throw you off, your whole balance off. Noticing that too much social interaction has caused increased fatigue. You go out to lunch with a friend and they just haven't seen you in a while and they want to talk, and you become exhausted. That can throw your balance off. Even things like worrying about a friend who's having a hard time. You're not concentrating on yourself, so thinking about the friend is throwing you off. Now, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but being unaware that your vision is off some days. And some days we don't see quite as well as we age as others. Another real annoyance for me that people are not paying attention to, in the house, they are slipping into slip-on shoes with no back or some other kind of unstable shoe. Really? That's asking for a fall. Having an assistive device ready to help yourself at all times. A cane. Here's my hiking pole with a whistle on it to scare the deer when I go outside. Having an occupational therapist come in and assess your skills and look at your house to determine where grab bars should be placed is really important in making your house so that you won't fall. In the US, I believe that can be done through Medicare. I don't know worldwide if that's true. Some physical therapists do this as well. Yes, there is a lot to think about in terms of preventing falls. Just getting in and out of bed or out of a chair so that you don't fall. And I kind of made some thoughts or some things to do to bring consciousness when one first knows that they have to get up out of a chair or out of a bed. When you first rise up from the bed or are thinking about rising up from the chair, sit there for a moment. Plan your move. Check your balance. And one thing for checking balance is just stare at a point ahead of you and just simply turn your head while you're doing that 3 or 4 or 5 times. Don't move your eyes. You want your eyes and your head to move, your eyes to stay still and your head to move. It helps set up your vestibular system so you won't fall, possibly won't fall. Turn on a light if you have to, if it's nighttime. Don't try and do this bravely without the light on. Look around at your environment while you're sitting on the edge of the bed or sitting in the chair. Look for obstacles. If you can, kick your legs a little bit while you're sitting. That's going to get them alerted and ready to take weight. If you're going to stand and can stand, tap your feet on the floor a few times before you get up.
Wow.
If you have dizziness on standing, also known as orthostatic hypotension, blow out as you stand or transfer to your chair. In other words, you're ready to go, deep breath as you stand up or as you transfer to your chair. I'm going to talk a little more about vision and balance. When there is a change of brightness, as we age, our eyes don't adjust as fast as they used to. That's a grand opportunity to miss small changes in height of something in front of you, or to not see something in your way that you've forgotten left there overnight. But if you're wearing bifocals, the same thing is true. You can look down through the bifocal to see what's in your way, but the bifocal is not going to give you a clear assessment of what's there because it's just for up close looking. So you got to look over the bifocal, and that way you hopefully won't miss something that's in your path that you could trip over. So visualize your path before you take off, and then take your steps or roll on. And don't wait until the last minute to urinate, because you will have a puddle. Do all this, when it isn't dramatically urgent. Make slow speed your best and safest speed for movement. We need to carry a constant awareness of safety and fractures that we get from falls. Prevention needs to be our focus rather than getting somewhere. One person had an extraordinary number of falls and asked in a Zoom group about what we thought about her getting a cane. And I thought there were so many falls that it was too late to think about a cane. This person should have been in some kind of a chair or more supportive device. We need to be aware that if we have a fall and end up in the ER, in the emergency room, X-rays will probably be taken. But some fractures do not show up on X-ray for at least 12 hours. So if you're discharged from the ER after 4 hours with no fractures and continue to have extraordinary pain, consider returning to the emergency room or obtaining urgent medical care some 12 hours plus after the fall to have more X-rays. Polio bones tend to be soft. We have osteopenia or osteoporosis since we are bearing weight less and not bearing weight at all. Therefore, we break more easily. I think that so many of our polios are still carrying the message from our parents in our heads from our youngest years that being in a wheelchair or a power chair would be the worst thing in the world, when in fact, um, sorry, um, it's probably the best thing in the world for us. I got my power chair because I wanted to remain an indoor walker for as long as possible, and then have the freedom of movement that my power chair offers outdoors. And it's really fun to ride. I do have hiking poles available at all times, indoors and outdoors, for my use. So let's prevent falls. That's it, Mona.
Wow, that is excellent. Ken, while Carla's still here, let's put that picture on the next slide. Yes. And this is what happens when someone falls accidentally. It's always an accident. We don't plan it, we don't know. Just as Carla says, be aware. Be very, very aware. Thank you
And
so much. Yes.
And this was a situation of going in at 3 hours after the fall and having no fracture. And I recommended that she go back at 12 hours. After 12 hours, major fracture showed up. Yeah.
Yes. So let's be careful. Thank you so much, Carla. Our next speaker, Joan Winters, has not been able to visit here. So I thought I would just read a bit about what she wanted to tell us. Joan Winter was recovering from a fall. She had polio at 9 years old, and the doctor diagnosed polio immediately. He did not want to send her to sick kids because it was very contagious back then, so he sent her to Oshawa Hospital. What I remember was a very big needle in my big needle, and my whole family was guaranteed for a month. It was in the summer, and there was no school. I was left with a stiffness. I was lucky Mom sent me to the doctor so quickly that he diagnosed the polio. Later on in life, I saw an interview of a woman named Wilma Randolph. She was born with scarlet fever and double pneumonia and developed polio when she was 5. She walked with a limp her whole life and ended up becoming an Olympic running champion in 1960. She said she never gave up. She definitely made an impact on me. I am the chairman of a stroke group, and I am in 2 Toastmaster groups, and no, I will never become an Olympic champion, but I am a limping champion. I teach people all about hope, and that is my life in a nutshell. Then when I was 70, I had a stroke. I was probably 30 when I started to exercise, and it was like cleaning my teeth. I did it every day, probably 30 minutes a day. So when I had the stroke, even though it was severe, and I was in a wheelchair, my determination and willingness to exercise for a couple of years helped me to recover about 70%. This is very common with people with polio. We are persistent, but now is the time to change this. And as her story goes on, I too fell about 6 years ago into where I had the stroke and had a bad fall while pulling rhubarb. My face became swollen. I got black eyes. I had a torn meniscus. And what could I do? The doctor said if I have an operation, the possibility was 70% of another stroke. So, what are the alternatives? Some exercise. We don't have to like it, we just have to do some of it. I was in a lot of pain and did not want to take pain pills, so I persisted until the leg was very swollen and had to have a knee replacement. I started with a therapist and still see him once a week and do 2 sessions with him on Zoom as well. Also, I do chair yoga several times a week and a March of Dimes exercise program, which we also have with Mandy LaBelle, and we do polio chair yoga, which I call yoga for you. She walks with 2 poles and it takes a lot of determination to believe in yourself and how to change the way we do things. I recently got careless in December, and now I'm in my 70s, and did not make sure I was safe. And I did a Tai Chi move with nothing to hold on to. One foot in front of the other, and yes, down I went. This time I broke a toe. When I felt I was falling, I let myself relax. That's a very good point. Relax. Now I also am into meditation, and I think that helps me when I'm falling. Yes, I get tired. I was in my 40s and thought if anything happened to me, I would never give up. And to this day, I never have. But you can't stop. You have to use your muscles, just in better, more thoughtful ways. The hardest thing to do is say no when people ask you to do something. Be kind to yourself, just like how we are to our friends. I teach people all about hope, and that is my life in a nutshell. Thank you very much. Next slide. Okay, this one is a very good slide. It has a lot of pictures and it is entirely in French, but I think that the pictures really explain everything to us. So, next slide. Yes. There are smarter ways to guard against falls. Next slide. Drapes and rugs are very dangerous. Look at that cluttered room. Next slide. Take care of the area that you have. Next slide. Good shoes. Very, very important. Tools. Next slide. Tools to use. These are assistive devices. They are meant to help you when you need the help. Sure, keep walking, but use these when you need them. Next slide. Braces. Braces are quite important. Many of us had braces when we were young, and now as we age, we may need them more. Next slide. This is a picture of techniques on how to transfer from a chair. Take the time. Put your feet on the ground. Carla had some very good ideas about tapping your feet. Next slide. When you have a fall, call 911. No matter what the fall is, go get it checked out. Be sure you're safe. Next slide. How to get up from a fall. Before you fall down, try and think of ways that you could help yourself to get up. Being able to grab onto a chair that is solid or the couch. Look for ways to help yourself before you fall. Then you have an idea of how you can help yourself if you fall. Next slide. Look at the items in your house. Many things are there just out of habit. To have a chair that's on the side, to have things on your table, or a carpet that you're going to slide on. The other picture shows what you should do with the things in your room. Next slide. The bathroom also has many items that are dangerous. Just rearrange them. You still need all those things. And of course, that chair in the bathtub, that is so helpful. Even if you don't need to sit when you're having a shower, try it. It's really fun to be able to sit there and have the water pour over you. It's like a massage for you, and you don't have to exert yourself. Next item. Kitchens. Kitchens are notorious for difficulty and having things in your way, as well as trying to reach those high cupboards. Next slide. The living room. Boy, oh boy, people leave things all around in the living room, in front of the TV, in front of tables, and they're just asking for a problem. Rearrange the things that are not necessary in the way that they are. Next slide. Stairs. Well, if at all possible, please avoid stairs. But if you can't avoid them, take those things off the stairs. They're not meant to be there. Add a railing. Help yourself be better. Next slide. The auto evaluation that I just talked about, we have copies in English and in French. And go to your rehabilitation center. Ask them for help. They have many, many ways to assist you. A social worker and an occupational therapist, they are your best friends. And if you have any questions, please write to me. Thank you, Ken. Next. I would like to say, before I close, let's all become more mindful about how you fall, or better yet, how not to fall. Stop, look, wait for balance, then stand. And again, once you're standing, stop, look, wait for extra balance, and then walk. We move so quickly, forgetting that our bodies have changed with time. Our abilities shift in ways that are often subtle, almost invisible, until suddenly what was easy yesterday feels difficult today. Climbing 3 stairs, lifting a weaker leg, or keeping balance can become a challenge that surprises us. It's not weakness, it's change. And with change comes the need for new habits. Habits of mindfulness, safety, and self-care. So let's remember, stop, think, balance, then walk. Pause for balance before every step. It might take longer, but so what? Think first. Find that balance. Walk safely. Balance begins before the step. Stop, steady, and then step. Because safety begins with awareness, and because balance begins with patience. Chart number 6. Ken, number 6. Yes. Stages of grief. Stages of grief, we all have that. But there's also the grief of inability. And that's what we're facing today. Post polio syndrome is grief. Grief over what we had into what we now have. And when we look at the experiences, all we see are confusion. This confusion leads to difficulties. And these difficulties can and will cause falls. Let's not fall down. Let's do everything in our power not to fall. I want to say thank you to everyone, my guests, Carla, Nisha, and Joan Winter. Thank you very much. We will be back again, but I am going to take a fall break and I will have our next solutions talk in the new year. I'm thinking around February. I will let you know. It has been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to do all of these talks, and they will continue. I need to get my energy back to be able to do these talks. So, thank you once again, everyone. It has been a wonderful opportunity. Please listen to any of these talks. 16 are now under my belt, and they all have a different idea. Take your time, be good to yourself. That's the most important. And be patient. We need the patience. I want to say thank you once again to everyone. Write to me anytime, monaarsenault@gmail.com. Thank you.